This is Advanced Algebra 1. We're in Topic 2. This is Section 4. It's the last section of this topic, so we'll be preparing for a test after this. So the last topic is about, or the last section in this topic is about parallel and perpendicular lines, and there's a relationship between the slopes of parallel lines and the slopes of perpendicular lines, and that's what we're going to learn about here. So it asked me to graph these two equations on the coordinate plane. So we start with the y-intercept on the left, which is at -3, and then the slope is 2, so I'm going to rise 2 and run 1, and I can do that again, or I could rise -2 and run -1. We get this line. Okay. And then the other line, the y-intercept is at 4. And then I'm going to rise -1 and run +2. Rise -1 and run +2. And so on. And we get this line. Okay. And so the slope of the first line is 2. The slope of the first line is 2. The slope of the other line is -1/2. And then if we look at those two lines, I don't know if this is in your vocabulary, if you learn about perpendicular lines somewhere in your previous math classes, but these are perpendicular. Okay, they meet to form a right angle, meaning they meet to form a 90-degree angle. This angle's 90 degrees, this one's 90 degrees, this one and this one. And there's ways we can prove that with, with the angle addition postulate and vertical angles and, a lot of things there. So if we look at the slopes then, okay, compare the slope of 2/1 to the slope of -1/2, these slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other. Remember, reciprocal means flip it over, and opposite means if this is positive, your answer over here will be negative. All right, and so, if I give you, and this is just another problem now, if I give you that the slope of a line is 2/3, then you should be able to tell me that the slope of the line perpendicular to it, okay, and that's a symbol we use for perpendicular, so the slope of the line perpendicular to it, I flip it over, and because this is positive, I take the opposite of that, so the slope of the line perpendicular to a line that has this slope would be -3/2. Okay, and that's the relationship between the slopes of perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form right angles, and the slopes of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals, and opposite reciprocals have a product of -1. So if it says prove that the lines are perpendicular, you could say, well, the slope of the one line is -5/3, therefore the slope of the line perpendicular to it is +3/5, because I take the opposite reciprocal, and if I multiply opposite reciprocals, I get -1. Okay. Now we're going to graph these lines on this coordinate plane. So that first line, the intercept is -4, 2, 3, 4, and then the slope is 3, so I'm going to rise 3 and run 1, rise 3 and run 1, and we are looking at this line. Okay. The other one, the intercept is at 2, and I'm going to rise 3 and run 1, and I'm going to rise 3 this way and run 1, and there's that line. And it would appear that these lines are never going to intersect. And lines that are never going to intersect are parallel. And so we say, what are the slopes of these lines? Well, the slope of the line on the left is 3, and the slope of the line on the right is 3. And so these parallel lines, the slopes are equal. Slopes of parallel lines are equal. Okay, so parallel lines have the same slope. So if I tell you that a line, and this is just totally out there again, if I tell you that a line has a slope of 2/3, the slope of the line parallel to it is 2/3. Okay, parallel lines have the same slope. So parallel lines are lines in the same plane that never intersect. They're non-vertical lines that are parallel and have the same slope, but different y-intercepts. And eventually we'll get to the point where, well, what happens if they have the same y-intercept? But that's going to be a couple of topics away. So parallel lines in the same plane that never intersect. They're not vertical, and we say they have the same slope. Okay. So, some of your problems on your online homework are going to be, graphing. Most of the problems are going to be writing the equation. So write the equation of the line that passes through this point, 5, -4, and is parallel to the line 3x minus y equals 5. And we've talked about, in order to write the equation of a line, I need two things. I need a point, and I need the slope. And they can give me that slope in a multitude of ways. They can just flat out say the slope of the line is this. Or they can say, they can give you 2 points and we calculate the slope of the line. Or now they can give me the equation of another line and say the lines are parallel. So find the slope that way. And that's what they've done here. They've said, well, it goes through this point, but it's parallel to this line. So I need to find the slope of this line. And I do that by transforming it from standard form to slope-intercept form. Okay? And so the slope of this line is 3, which means the slope of the line I'm trying to find is 3. So I have y equals 3x plus b, and then I plug in this point that they gave me to find b. So y is -4, x is 5, and -4 equals 15 plus b, so b is -19. Okay, so the equation of the line, the answer is y equals 3x minus 19. That's my answer to that question. Okay. Write the equation of the line that passes through the point -3, 8, and is parallel to the line y equals -2. What in the heck does that mean? So if I look at a little picture, y equals -2 is this horizontal line, all right? The horizontal line through -2. And the slope of a horizontal line is 0, and we can go through all that stuff. But the real question is, what kind of line is parallel to a horizontal line? And the answer is the line that's parallel to a horizontal line is another horizontal line. And horizontal lines are y equals lines. So the quick and easy answer to this is the line parallel to it is y equals 8. Because in my ordered pair that they gave me, that's the y-coordinate. So it has to be this horizontal line way up here at y equals 8 that is parallel to this horizontal line way down here at y equals -2. Okay? Then we have, write the equation of the line that passes through the point -6, -3, and is perpendicular to this line. Well, perpendicular is a slightly different story, right? The slopes aren't the same. They're opposite reciprocals of each other. So we need to find the slope of this line, and then that will allow me to find the slope of the line that goes through this point. So to do that, I change this from standard form to slope-intercept form. So I get 3/4 x plus 2. So the slope here is 3/4, which means the slope of the line perpendicular to it is -4/3. So over here I have y equals -4/3 x plus b, and then I plug in that point. Y is -3, -4/3 times x, which is -6. And I'm still seeing some issues where you're multiplying these fractions together and you're not reducing. If you multiply this and reduce this fraction, you actually get 8. And if you don't see where that's coming from, you need to know how to do that on your calculator, obviously. Okay, so 8 plus b, subtract 8 from both sides, and I get -11 equals b. So my answer to this problem is y equals -4/3 x minus 11. Okay. So this question is, a not so traditional question as well. We're looking for the equation of the line that passes through this point and is perpendicular to this line. Well, perpendicular to that line, that's the line x equals -3. So that is this line, okay? And then the point -1, 4 is up here, okay? So I want the line through this point that's perpendicular to this line. Well, the slope of this vertical line is undefined. And we say that perpendicular lines, the slopes are opposite reciprocals. So if I have a line whose slope is undefined, the opposite reciprocal of undefined is 0. And a line that has a slope of 0 is a horizontal line. And so the line that they're talking about is the horizontal line that goes through this point. That's the line that would be perpendicular to the vertical line. And you don't, if you don't get this, that's okay. Because if you just think about it, what's going to be perpendicular to a vertical line? A horizontal line. What's going to be perpendicular to a horizontal line? A vertical line. Okay? So, that's that. Down here, they're giving us two equations, and they're asking us, are these two parallel, perpendicular, or neither? And the way we determine that is we find the slope. And so to find the slope of this line is 2. To find the slope of this line, I need to solve that for y and get it in slope-intercept form. So I need to move the 2x to the other side. And then I need to divide everything by that negative, and I get y equals 2x minus 3. So the slope of this line is 2. So what are these lines? These lines are parallel. Okay. Down here, they're giving us some special lines. They're giving us the line y equals 1/2, which is this horizontal line. And they're giving us the line y equals -3, which is this horizontal line, and these two horizontal lines obviously have to be parallel. Okay. And then I don't remember if I kept this on your homework or not. I'm not sure they have it on the online homework, but it is something we have coming up. I can't remember. It's on the quiz. Anyway, we're just going to fill out the slopes of these lines. So the slope of this first line is 1/2. So what's the slope of the line parallel to it? It would be the same, 1/2. What's the slope of the line perpendicular to it? And that would be the opposite reciprocal, which would be -2. Okay, and then we have the line x equals -4.2. That is a vertical line. The slope of the line parallel to it would be undefined, because the slope of this line is undefined, and the slope of the line perpendicular to it would be the reciprocal of undefined, which is 0. And by the way, the reciprocal of 0 is undefined. Here I need to move that 3x to the other side, and then divide by 4. So the slope of this line is -3/4. So the slope of the line parallel to it is -3/4. And then the slope of the line perpendicular to it is the opposite reciprocal, which would be 4/3. Y equals 3 is a horizontal line. Its slope is 0. Therefore, the slope of the line parallel to it is 0. And the slope of the line perpendicular to it is undefined. And lastly, sometimes this confuses students because there's no plus b out here. The plus b is 0. This line goes through the origin, okay? And so the slope of this line is what's in front of x, which is 1. So the slope of the line parallel to it is 1, and the slope of the line perpendicular to it would be the opposite reciprocal of 1, which is -1. The reciprocal of 1/1 is 1/1, and then the opposite, so negative. And that's about it for parallel and perpendicular lines. So the next video will be the review for the Topic 2 test.